All right. Here talking to some guys from Utah Division II lacrosse, club lacrosse. They just won the championship. I've never done an intro before, so this is kind of not sure where I'm going with this, but Andrew, you want to start us off?
Yeah, so how did you guys first start the team?
I'll kind of let Connor answer that. He was the one who kind of spearheaded getting everything going. So I'll let you take that one away.
Yeah, so I came back to the university after, a year off for COVID, kind of just seeing where everyone was at.
Sorry, I just made you the host. I'm not an IT guy. I don't
It's
know.
all good. It's all good. Do we need to switch something up or restart?
Yeah, probably. Sorry about that.
You sure? I think it still might be fine.
We're still recording.
All right, we'll cut this. We'll cut this.
Yeah, you just cut it. You just cut it.
All right.
Yeah, so came back to campus, was trying to, finally back on campus. Everyone's able to see each other again and just, reconnecting with all the boys because we hadn't been playing for a year. Tabled for a week with my buddy Mickey, who has been carrying the torch this whole time. Me and him pretty much started the whole thing. And we heard that the MCLA had changed their ruling. And so we kind of that put in the back of our heads. We're like, hey, this is something to take this to the next, we were just pickup ball at that time, once, twice a week in the fall. And then once the spring hit, we were, all skiing and snowboarding and doing other things. So we kind of put in the back of our head, like, yo, can we do this? And I mean, I've always had that itch to play competitively. I came to the U to play on the Division I team, and that didn't work out. So I just look over to Mickey. I'm like, yo, what, the questions we had were, do we have the personnel and how much is this going to cost us? And so Mickey and I, for the next couple of weeks, just did hours and hours of research every day, sending, countless emails, reaching out to, everyone to try and figure out, what it would cost us. And at the time, we put the word out that we were thinking of going MCLA, and we had about, I want to say 19ish guys that were like, oh, I'm down, like, we'll do it, sure. But the next biggest question was, okay, what is it going to cost? And figuring that out was an absolute pain, and there were still so many uncertainties. But we had the September 28th meeting with the RMLC, like the board of the RMLC. And, I remember looking to Mickey and then Kyler was there with us, just being like, yo, let's just do this. Like, let's just do it. We'll figure it out. And we proposed to, our program to the board, and they inducted us in. And at that time, I remember hopping off to a separate Zoom call with Kyler and Mickey being like, all right, like, now the real work starts. Like, we gotta do this. There's no backing out anymore. So we kind of just put it together as we went, and it started to come to fruition as gear started to come in, guys paying dues and all that. And it was really just two guys sitting down with their laptops being like, all right, let's do it. Let's figure it out and build all the connections that we need to get gear, reserve field time, and, obviously get coaches, shout out Kyler, and all the coaching staff. So yeah, it was a lot of individual work that, blossomed into something that was pretty spectacular.
That's awesome. And Kyler, I guess this one's for you. How did your process of getting involved in the program? How did that start?
Yeah, so for me, I had recently graduated when everything kind of got going, but I knew most of the guys on the club team because we all played men's league. We all just played men's league over the summer in Utah. So that's how I kind of how I figured out and met everybody. And then I would come to these pickup sessions because it was the best lacrosse I could get in my area. So I kept coming, and then eventually, things started to get off the ground a little bit more. And Connor came to me and he's like, hey, would you be willing to be, our interim head coach? We're still trying to get everything going, but, we at least need someone there to start. And so I said, yeah, absolutely. I'd love to. And then kind of as things really started to take off, it started to be actually a great fit. I knew the players well. I felt like I could develop good relationships, and kind of what I wanted to do scheme-wise fit with what we had personnel-wise. And everything just kept aligning as we went on. And sure enough, here's where we are. And that's kind of how it started. But very, very stoked to be asked to be there and everything we've accomplished.
Nice. So I guess going into the next question, what does it look like to play for the team?
Yeah. So I guess I'll kind of touch on the culture. We definitely employ kind of a work hard, play hard kind of deal where I want to make everything fun, but I still want you to be competitive. But a big thing for me is I don't want to take away from anyone's college experience. You know, if you're playing at like a D1 level, you know, that's kind of your life is lacrosse. When you're playing club, I want you to be able to play lacrosse at a high level competitively, but I want you to take time to, you know, if you want to go to a party, go do that. If you want to go ski, if you want time to yourself, I want you to have that, but I also want you to have lacrosse as an outlet and something you can do with your friends and your boys and really enhance your college experience at the end of the day. I want it to be a very fun experience, but, you know, I think winning's pretty fun and we prioritize both of those pretty heavily.
Yeah, and I'll touch on from a player's perspective. I think Kyler and you know, a lot of the leaders on our team kind of nailed it. And you know, we're still trying to figure out, you know, where we fit in, where's our culture, you know, what, you know, that's an ongoing process that we had conversations about throughout the year. And you know, obviously we're not the D1 team, but we don't want to be pickup ball. So finding that sweet spot of being competitive, winning games, but still being able to, you know, ski that day if there's, you know, 12 inches up at the resorts, or, you know, go out to twist on a Wednesday night, you know, and just have that social life, you know, social, outdoor, and lacrosse all in one is kind of where we want to find our money. And we want players to come and, you know, realize that they can play lacrosse at a competitive level, but also do all those things, and kind of just have the best college experience that you can have, for us personally. And so that's what we think. So I think Kyler and all the boys, we kind of nailed it perfectly this season, and we'll continue to build on that going forward as we go up into the Division I bracket or level.
Yeah, well said too. I feel like kind of what you said of finding the balance is like the perfect like selling point for anybody looking at any club lacrosse school in general too. Just finding that balance, but also playing competitive lacrosse at the same time. So same things we hear from a lot of teams, but it's good to see that you guys kind of found that first year. So you kind of mentioned talking to the board and stuff, getting your club approved. Me and Andrew have our own experiences with the club sports board that we don't need to get into, but like what resources did you kind of get from them and maybe the school and athletic department and any other organization?
So we didn't get a ton. I'll kind of let Connor touch on that. He was the one really spearheading that, but most of it was pretty much everything we do by ourselves. But Connor, I'll let you take that away.
Yeah, so Jake Myers is the head of the club sports program here. Amazing guy. He had been an assistant when it was still a club program back in, you know, 2018 and before. So he was familiar that, you know, he was like, oh, there was a team. Then they went, you know, Division I. There wants to be a team again. So he understood kind of what that looked like. And we really have no idea how the club operated, you know, with the administration prior to them, you know, joining the NCAA. But so there was already that relationship in place. But other than that, I mean, it's the same for all club programs here at the U. You know, that, you know, equality is the name of the game. So everyone has equal access to fields and resources. And those are really not a lot. You know, the school provides very little in financial help. And in terms, you know, just a field, it's pretty much, you know, you get a little bit of money and, you know, you can reserve field time, but it's kind of a mad scramble for field time as well. So, you know, we were appreciative to have that new field that you know, the NCAA team contributed heavily to build. They built a brand new field, practice field that, you know, we were lucky enough to be able to use that along with the other club programs here at the U. But other than that, I mean, there was really no administrative support. We reached out multiple times just saying, like, you know, how do we run this? You know, how do we collect dues? How do we, you know, do we need a bank account with the school? Like all of the behind the scenes stuff that is just you don't even think of as a player. And then once you go to do it, you're like, oh my gosh, there's so much. And there's so much unknown. And Mickey and I pretty much had to figure it all out from scratch. But the school was there, they had known, and so we were appreciative to them, and the support that they did give, and they've now recognized us as a program on Twitter, which is pretty cool, and then on their Instagram. So shout out to the school, but it was really player driven, player founded for the large part, and good resume builder for a couple of us, that's for sure.
I also want to say it speaks really highly to like the parents and the players' level of commitment, because we didn't get a whole lot of support from really anyone. So everything we did really was player and parent driven. Fundraising, dues, everything came from them. So that was a huge piece of support we had, especially as a first year program.
Yeah, we definitely know what that's like, having to deal with all that stuff. Really sucks, but
yeah,
worth
yeah,
it.
it does.
Yeah, definitely worth it though.
100%.
Were you gonna say something, Tommy?
No, all you.
I was just gonna ask, I know with our team, we try and keep in touch with alumni a lot, like we do alumni weekends and stuff. Have you reached out to any like club alumni from before they went D1? Are you guys connected with them at all?
So that's kind of like a tricky gray area. Our best alumni relation is our offensive coordinator, Jeremy Sarton, played on the club team when they were club and transitioning to D1. So we played club and D1. But because that team kind of went to a different direction, we kind of like trailed off. It's made it kind of difficult for those alumni connections, because if they want to be connected, I mean, no disrespect to our program, but if I played in that club program, I'd probably want to be associated with the team that's now D1. So that's kind of where we run into that tough spot. But hopefully as this program builds out a little bit more and we have some of our seniors graduate, that alumni presence is really going to grow.
Nice.
Yeah, so one thing I'm kind of wondering too is you mentioned the NCAA program. Do you guys do anything with them? Like, are there any connections between your program and the NCAA program?
Yeah, we've got 2 connections with the NCAA program. We get to use their shot clocks, and one of their managers on our games, and that's about where that story ends. Unfortunately, we don't really do a whole lot with them. They've obviously got their own schedule, and us being so new, but I guess this is also a great time for me to kind of air the grievance that we are not related to them. We don't take any of their players. They don't pick from our pool. It's a big pond and a little puddle that we're kind of growing right now. So that's kind of one of the things I saw after, was everyone thinking we had all these D1 guys, all these guys who didn't make the team that were cut, all this. We don't. We really just have a bunch of guys who want to play lacrosse at a competitive level and still play in college, and that's where they ended, was with us.
Yeah.
No, you can go, Tommy.
Had a lot of people in our mentions after that saying like, oh well, it's all the redshirted kids, and we were like, what? Like, you can look at their roster if you really want proof. So I doubt any of those people are actually watching this, but exactly. Clear the air. We'll clip that and tag them. That's what we do.
Perfect. And it's so frustrating too, because it's like, even if we do, other kids have like these D1 kids, these transfers, but I think that the big thing that people don't realize is you could have played D1 and go to an MCLA school. You're not on that same regimen that you were. Like, a player can come from D1 and down to MCLA and not be this dominant player, because when you're at that D1 level, you're playing every day. Lacrosse is your life. You're eating, breathing, sleeping lacrosse. When you come down to MCLA, you don't have to do that anymore. It's, I'm going to be a college student. I'm going to do my thing, and I'm going to play lacrosse when I get it. It's not everything I do is surrounded and driven by lacrosse, like my meals, my workouts, everything. So I think when you step down, even if you were that D1 player, you're not training at the same level. You don't take it as serious as you might have at that D1 level. So I think even if you are that level of player, when you come down to MCLA, I'm not saying you play down, but I think your level of training and focus isn't at that D1 level, which is pretty important to note.
Yeah, that's true. Are there any guys that kind of talked about maybe trying to walk on to the D1 team after this season, or most people just want to stay with the club team?
We have one guy, attackman number 0. he's currently the manager for the D1 team, so he still wants to make that transition. But I tell him the same as I tell my other guys, if you want lacrosse to be fun and enjoyable, stay here. That's a big focus for us, is keeping the fun in the game and not stripping it away. I feel like a lot of us have had coaches at some point that kind of took our love for that game away. So we want to make sure that it's fun and as casual as it can be while still being extremely competitive. So that's kind of my pitch to them is, if you want to have fun, see the field, be a college student, stay here. If you want to take that next step, I'll help you get there, but I'm going to let you make that decision.
I'll touch on that as well. I know that I knew a handful of guys on the team that were from my area previously, who just ended up at the U for various reasons and are now on the team. And a lot of them at some point, graduating high school, decided that they, lacrosse, they wouldn't really want to play at the next level. But like Kyler said, the coaches had kind of taken the fun, or had really removed the fun from lacrosse. And I think that our program and Coach Kyler and, I think one of the first statements that Kyler and Jeremy said was, we've had coaches that have ruined the game for us and made it not fun. This is not that. We want to make this enjoyable. And I think Kyler and, our program hit the nail on the head of that balance between having fun playing lacrosse and doing it competitively. And I think we nailed that sweet spot.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
Yeah, especially with school and finals and everything, you don't want someone to be dreading going to practice at the end of the day. Like, it's supposed to be an escape, and it sounds like you guys did a good job capturing that, and also obviously won the national championship too. So it's not like you were too relaxed, if that makes sense.
We had our moments, but we made it through.
So what was the overall team culture like?
So that's still kind of a work in progress. We're still trying to find our full identity, but kind of touching it, like I said before, it was kind of a work hard, play hard kind of deal, where we're going to work hard in practice, we're going to win, and then we're going to celebrate because we've earned that. And so that was kind of the mantra, was we're going to put in the work, we're going to get the result, we'll celebrate. And that was pretty much all of it. And like we said earlier, winning and fun were pretty much the two pillars of what we did. And luckily, it's a lot more fun when you're winning. So those things are usually tied together. So we're able to structure drills so it'd be more fun, engaging, do rewards in practice or punishments if need be. But basically, we just try to make it casually competitive is the best way I can describe it. Is fun, but still at a high level, working hard every day, getting better, and just becoming better people. So at the end of the day, it's a work hard, play hard, but we want to make sure we're having fun.
Nice.
I just got to say, like, the connections that allows is absolutely incredible. I mean, it's almost fraternal in a sense, that, when you join, at the beginning of the season, most of us had no idea who the other person was. And at the end of the season, just to see the bonds and connections. And I know I've got, 35 guys to use now as a resource, throughout my entire life. Is just absolutely incredible. So, like Kyler said, what that facilitated and between the players and allowing them to play hard, but have that enjoyment and fun on the field, was incredible.
Nice.
That's awesome. And I kind of just wanted to ask one more thing too. I didn't write this down, but I've never gotten to go to nationals and I've never won a championship. Can you just talk about what that whole experience going down to Texas and then obviously getting that trophy at the end of it? Just talk about what that was like a little.
Yeah, I mean, it was surreal. The best way I could describe it was like going to like an old like club summer tournament, but like in the best way, where like everybody's there, you're all in the same hotels, you're seeing each other as you're walking through the lobby and stuff like that. And then you go to the field, there's already games going on, so you get to watch those as you warm up. There's games after you. It was that club summer ball experience that everybody loved, but on a much higher stage. And then obviously once we got there, I made it a big point that, have fun, but at the end of the day, this is a business trip, know what we're here for. And, that was something they really embraced. I was a little worried going in that they might be kind of swept up in being in Austin in this big city with school just ending, a lot of them being freshmen who just finished their first year. But I mean, the discipline and focus was crazy. And then for the games, first off, the heat was miserable. I didn't have to run and play in it, but just standing on the sidelines, I was sweating buckets. But the tournament experience, it's hard to put into words. because everybody's so amped up. Everybody wants it so bad. And it does suck to see some of these other players so emotional when they don't get what they wanted, they don't win. But, seeing my guys and how happy they were throughout everything, and just the growth from that first North Dakota State game all the way to the end was huge. Just to see a team grow and mature that much, that quickly in such a short span of time was absolutely electric. And then in terms of winning it, it took me a while for that to set in. I got my ice bath, which was phenomenal in like 95-degree heat. And then, just seeing how happy all the players were, and especially some of the guys who didn't necessarily get to play a whole lot in Texas, seeing the smile on their face and how excited they were to be a part of this really kind of brought it all together for me to be like, we really did just do something big, and hopefully we can continue to build on that.
Yeah, I just got to say, spending a week in a hotel with the boys, no school, no worries, nothing to focus on, but the next game, winning the next game and playing lacrosse is just the most surreal, awesome experience. I think, one of the top experiences I've ever had in my life, hands down.
Nice. That's awesome.
Professional lacrosse player for a week. That sounds.
1 week. Yeah.
That's what it feels like.
Yeah.
I had work off, so it felt like my entire week was just coaching. I was like, damn, this must be nice.
Yeah, definitely. I've got no more questions. Anything else, Andrew?
Just got any funny stories or memories from the season you want to talk about?
I don't know if I have things I can say on camera. Maybe Connor does.
It's up to you.
A lot of off the book stuff that we won't talk about. Memories though, I just remember coming back from spring break. We'd had like 3 weeks off of playing lacrosse with each other. No games. Spring break, didn't play during spring break. We came back and it's like we have 2 practices and then BYU. And BYU was the number 1 ranked, program at the time in the MCLA Division I bracket. And we were like, the thought in the back of your mind is like, man, like this could go one of 2 ways. Have a decent game, show up, or we could absolutely get blown out. And walking away from that game, having it be, it was a 10-4 loss, but being able to play that team to within 6 points was absolutely incredible. And walking away from that game, I knew that this team had something special to it. I knew that if we continued to work the rest of the season, like we may have a shot. And I think a lot of the players and coaches too came away from that game being like, okay, like this is something, we're not going to let the rest of the season just be the rest of the season. We're going to treat this as well as we can, with as much respect and going as hard as we can. And so I was just so juiced walking away from that game. We lost, but I felt like we won. And I felt that was shared among a lot of the players. So for me, that was probably one of my, most pivotal and favorite memories from the season. Of course, winning a natty, nothing beats that, but the feeling coming away from that game was phenomenal.
And I want to touch on that too, because that was one of the few times in my sports career that I've actually been happy in a loss, because I've coined that as the turning point in our entire season was the second quarter against BYU, because in that game we went down 6-0 in the first quarter fast. And I mean fast. I remember I turned to my assistant coach, Jeremy, and we looked at each other and we're like, we might get fucking blown out. We might get blown out this game. And there was a real worry. And then all of a sudden in the second quarter, there was just this shift. Offense got like 2 long possessions. We got a good shot off. And then I think we eventually scored. And you could see everyone on the bench kind of look around like, well, damn, that was a good offense. Maybe we can. And then we won the face-off and did it again. And you could kind of see this snowball of confidence starting to build, where everyone was like, well, shit, this is BYU. This is the number 1 team, and we're hanging in there. And then, obviously a game is 4 quarters, but if you were to erase that first quarter, it's a 4-4 game. And just seeing that when we play at our best, we could hang with the best team in the nation, everyone was just like, well, damn, we really do have something. And exactly like Connor said, like after the game, yeah, we lost by 6, but the smile on everyone's face and the attitude was, let's do this. I think that game was I don't know what day it was, but we had the option to practice the next day. And I went over there. I was like, "Do you guys want to practice tomorrow?" You know, kind of being like, "You know what? Let's give them the day off." And most of them were like, "Hell yeah, let's practice tomorrow. Let's get after it." And that was the moment for me where I was like, "Oh, they found it. They want this. They want to win." And that was really just the turning point of how good can we be. It's going to be how much work we put in, and they put in the work to be the best.
Yeah.
That's just so cool to hear. I guess this is a program that started in September, and then just you really experience everything a team can experience in the last 6 months or whatever. So that's congrats to you guys on that.
Thank you.
Sorry, one more thing I just thought of too. I wanted to ask about. So I think we've heard that the club team might be transitioning to MCLA Division I next year. Is that correct, or is that?
That's
Okay.
correct. Yeah, we will be.
And is there anything you guys actually have to do like for that process, or is it just like different schedule, different teams basically?
Pretty much just different scheduling. We just had to get it cleared, obviously, with our conference and then with the MCLA. And then now it's just, instead of scheduling Montana State, I mean, we'll still play Utah State, but now it's make sure we get Colorado State, BYU, obviously. That's a big rival. So looking forward to it this year. Hope we got a lot of interest coming in, especially after doing so well in our first year. So hopefully we can kind of build on everything that we've got going so far.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's good to hear.
Yeah, national championship is a good first step to build on.
It is. It is. That's for sure.
All right.
We'll come out and play Purdue and IU next year. That'd be fun. They come out to us.
Yeah, I'm sure they like that.
Yeah, Indiana's great in the spring. It's a great state. We're both from the Northeast, so Indiana's a little not for us, but
yeah.
I don't know if you want to go there.
yeah. Cut that. Okay. All right. Well, thanks for taking some time to talk to us today. Hopefully this all recorded well and no technical difficulties, and we'll keep you updated on when we'll be putting this out and stuff.
Awesome. We appreciate you guys. Like I said, stoked that you guys do what you do, and hopefully you can continue to do that and pass the torch and just keep this enjoyable, fun, and an air of competitiveness. That's for sure.
No, absolutely. Well said.
Thanks for having us on, and it's a pleasure to have a face behind the name now as well.
It is indeed.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Yeah, it's not really looking like Burt Reynolds, but it's good enough.
Better.
Oh, thank you. All right, well, I'm gonna leave this. Have a good one, guys.
Thank you. Have a good one.
Yep.
Thanks, guys.
Yep.